We really should move on from Skype.
Yeah. I do feel like, is it still recording?
It's recording now,
yeah. Great. We're starting a new segment this season called Get Your Shit Together. And I was going to start with something else, but, 3-time award recipient of the Follow Your Star Award, but like the negative Follow Your Star Award was Skype.
It honest to God only recorded 43 seconds and then just fucking stopped.
Yeah. Skype, get your shit together.
Fan-fucking-tastic.
Trying to say.
Oh my God, that is phenomenal. We've been talking for 20 fucking minutes about real life shit. And Skype is just like, well, you know, why, I mean, fucking A, man. Oh, hell's bells. Okay, well, anyways.
But that math class I took actually went through and taught you, and it actually applied math to real life. So, like, how to, like, calculate percentage and interest rates, like if you're, you know, getting a loan, or how to work out the financing when you're getting a car, how to figure out, like, the cost of, like, retiling your kitchen, you know, because of, you know, figuring out, you know, how much tile you're going to need and blah, blah, blah. You know, and then it went into a little bit of gambling with, like, some stats and probability and...
Well, I mean, honestly, wouldn't schools just be a lot easier if they just taught finance classes and maybe, like, you know, construction or home remodeling classes instead of like, hey, let me show you this math where you got to solve for A if B plus 2 equals C. Like, unless you're a math teacher, why do you need to learn that shit?
I don't know. I use algebra a lot, actually.
In what? What do you use it for? What do you use algebra for?
I just like if I need to figure out let's say how many bulletins I need to print, or, you know, how much gas I can put in my car to not run out of gas if I just want to put a little bit in.
But isn't that just simple arithmetic?
Well, yeah, I think algebra is simple arithmetic personally, but
yeah, but I'm
not using trigonometry in my everyday life for the most part, or even a little bit of geometry, because like you use geometry to, like if you're arranging your house or whatever, make sure you got enough space.
Yeah, but not A equals B plus C and shit. Like, not, I mean, like, give me actual
not necessarily
fucking,
that.
Yeah, give me fucking numbers. Like, tell me, like, okay, if you know, if Joe has 30 congregants in his church, and, you know, 2 of them can't read, I need 28 fucking, you know, brochures.
Right.
That's arithmetic.
Well,
That's
like,
arithmetic.
so sometimes I'll need like half sheets. And so I need to print half the number of half sheets as bulletins.
Fractions are absolutely important. I will support the use of fractions in life. 100%.
I feel like I personally use, like, I try to use the quadratic equation in my life just to, like, which is like, what is it? X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of 4 squared minus 2ac all over 4a or whatever. That doesn't sound right, but
no, it doesn't. I couldn't, not one bit.
Yeah. You know what I'm actually thinking of is not the quadratic equation, it's the just the hypotenuse calculation, because I'm trying to find the shortest distance between 2 points a lot, which is just a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So much simpler. Dumb. I just drank like half a bottle of wine in the first 20 minutes of this episode.
Fucking classy, bro. Well, for those of you who don't know, because the last 20 minutes of our fucking podcast didn't record. Thank you, New Year. We have a third person here with us. We have a returning guest. If you guys haven't, you know, figured out who it was, either by the title of this episode, the description of the episode, or his voice in general, you know, Clint, an old friend, a longtime friend. Apparently he has a second job. What's up?
That's the Vengeful Jedi himself.
That's true.
Yep.
That's fun this time.
Former host of Geek Dig Pod. Loved it.
Host of Brain Pong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was paying attention, even though I was reading something else.
But Clint is kicking off the new season here with us. Me and Clint, we're talking for a little bit over the last couple of days about getting him on, and we were able to make it work to get him on today. We talked a little bit about ADHD when we first got on. One question I didn't get to ask, which I'm glad I didn't ask because the recording didn't happen, so fuck yeah. How do you test for ADHD? Is it like they take your blood and run a test? Is it like, they give you like a packet to read and answer questions? Like, is there a test for ADHD or ADD that schools could do to determine if people have these kind of learning, issues?
Not really a standardized test, but there are tests and assessments that you can go for and do through mental health professionals. So like a therapist or a psychiatrist or whatever. I'm sure school counselors and whatnot have the tools to.
Yeah, but how do they determine it? How is it determined? Is it like what is the test? Like it's just like somebody talking to you and they just make the realization like after our 20-minute conversation I determined that you have ADHD, or is there things that they have to do to determine that? Like is it a blood drawn test? Is it is it a handwritten test? Are they just staring at you waiting for your eyes to shift and wander out the window?
It tests how many times you look away.
Right? Yeah, fidgety. Like what exactly? I mean, you both said you had ADHD.
Started fidgeting.
Yeah.
Started playing drum with pencils.
Right? You both said you had ADHD. What test did they give you to determine you have that?
Clint, would you like to go first, or do you want me to go?
You can go.
So for me, I did one of the, I probably will eventually do a more, in my mind, legitimate test.
Yeah.
But the healthcare system I'm part of is like super backed up right now. So I'm waiting until it clears. But, I did one of the regular online places that'll probably be sued in a couple of years for overdiagnosing people. What I did was basically I answered 3 different questionnaires, and the idea is there's a certain number of criteria that the DSM-5, which is the diagnostic manual for psych evaluations. Yeah. There's a certain number of criteria that if you hit like say there's 15 of them, if you hit like 7 of that or 8 of that, then you probably have this disorder. And so they have these tests that I think there were 3 tests. They were 10 to 15 questions each. And based on my answers to the questions, that was what allowed my I think she was a professional nurse practitioner, which means she's a nurse who can also diagnose things and prescribe medication. Allowed her to say, okay, yes, I think you have it. This is the medication I recommend because of, this other medication you're on for anxiety.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so it's just like, and the main issue that as I understand it, is whether or not it affects your life. So like a lot of adults have trouble getting diagnosed because they have spent their whole lives learning how to cope with this thing. And so doctors will look at them and be like, well, we really don't want to give you this legal meth because it's meth. Even though it's legal, we don't want to give it to you. Mm-hmm. So, unless it's like seriously affecting your ability to do your job, we don't want to diagnose you with this disorder. So yeah, I'm not sure how that goes, but.
I gotcha. Oh, shoot. Clint, what did they do for you, man?
Well, for me, at the time I was having regular sessions with the therapist, and a couple of my friends, actually Hawkeye and Remy, my Brain Pong co-hosts, they brought it up a few times, and they're like, dude, when are you just going to admit that you have it? I'm like, I don't. I'm like, I'll admit it when I'm told I have it.
Yeah.
And they're like, just bring it up to your therapist. So, brought it up to him. Well, what I did first, before I brought it up to him, was I actually looked up all of the diagnostic criteria for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept a journal for a couple of weeks, and I wrote down instances of, all of the associated, symptoms and related events and things. So at the next session, I gave it to him, and, he looked everything over, and he just had a few other questions for me, and he's like, yeah, you definitely got it.
Nice.
And
What?
But because he was a therapist, he couldn't prescribe medication. So I ended up going to my primary doctor based on his recommendation. Now, here's the funny part.
Okay.
When I went in and I told him, he asks why I'm there, and I told him, hey, I just found out I have ADHD, and he's a therapist, he can't prescribe medication, so he told me to, approach you for something. And plus, given other health issues and stuff that I have, I would rather that anything prescribed come from him anyway. And
sure.
So I mentioned to him I have ADHD, and he's like, oh, I already know. And I was like, how the hell do you know? I was like, did he call you? And he's like, no, dude, it's been on your chart for years. And I'm like, wait,
somebody
was anybody
in your past diagnosed you but didn't give you any diagnosis?
A school counselor told my parents, and they never said anything because,
I tell you, man, fucking
it was seriously, dude. It was, because it was the 80s. There was, like you were talking about, like with the whole stigma, with, medicated kids, like kids running around hyped up on Ritalin and everything. They didn't want me to be a part of it. Plus, I was still an honor roll student at the time too. Right. So I guess my parents just figured that I was going to grow out of it.
So your parents are probably like, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Pretty much.
Because if you're on the honor roll in school, diagnosed with ADHD, if they were to tell you, hey, Clint, sit down, boy, let's have a talk. Your counselor just told us that you have I don't know what it's considered, a learning disability or whatever, but you have ADHD. So, let's see what we could do for it. And then, would that have affected you, do you think, as a student? Would that have affected you thinking, like, maybe, like, because go ahead. No,
it would have, honestly, I think it would have had a very minimal effect, if any, on my academics.
At least in high school, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, because I, was already a decent student, but, had I known about it, there could have been other tools and resources that I could have used that could have strengthened what I was doing, that could have, maybe taught me a couple different ways, and hey, maybe I could have done just a little bit better, and I would have had, scholarships, I could have had other opportunities open up.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other factors other than just like academically.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's something that can coincide with ADHD, or I guess it's kind of a general thing, but they're called comorbidities.
Yeah.
And there's one specific to ADHD, and it's a little bit more on the emotional side.
Can I guess it?
But it's, yeah.
Is it going to be rejection sensitivity dysphoria?
Hell yes.
Yeah. Same, brother.
What is
Dude,
it?
it's, basically it's a huge solid, like this huge fear of, like, being, like, criticized, rejected, abandoned.
Judged.
Yeah.
Gotcha. For me, that was like one of the final straw for me for deciding to pursue a diagnosis was like, I've been working in this job for 4 years. This pandemic has been going on and I haven't been able to do my job as well as I could because of the pandemic. And like, there's things that I want to do and I want to accomplish, and I simply don't have the confidence to do them because I'm so afraid of how people will react. You know, and so it was like this fear is holding me back. I really need to get the diagnosis so that I can so I can get a medicine that helps me stop being afraid. And like, I was already on anxiety. Like, for me, my process, like, also same, was an honor roll student. If I had gotten a diagnosis earlier, I probably would have gone from like 13th to top 10. So like, not a huge difference. You know, went to college, made it through for the most part. There's a couple of classes I probably would have done better in undergrad. Maybe I wouldn't have changed majors. Who knows? But I ended up, I didn't really break until I got to grad school, where, because it's this, you know, I think everybody knows I'm a pastor. I went to this university that was while I was there, they shifted more toward the evangelical end of the sort of Christianity spectrum. And, I ended up like when I first got there, I was like, you know, everyone's going to know that I'm, just by looking at me, they're going to know that I was raised Catholic. They were going to know that I wasn't part of this particular denomination. They're going to know that I wanted to be an engineer before I wanted to be a pastor. And they're all going to judge me for it. They're going to hate me because of this person I was coming in. You know, I didn't believe I could bring my whole self. And so I showed up I think my second semester, I actually got forced to start therapy, or else they were going to kick me out of the school because my grades had gotten so bad at that point. And, my therapist at the time was, and even now she struggles with this idea that I have ADHD because she's like 63, 64, and she has it in her head that ADHD is, you know, she thinks of her kid who one time during church rolled underneath all the pews up and down the whole sanctuary. And she was like, but he never got diagnosed. He was just an energetic kid, and that's how he paid attention. And I'm like, that's not what ADHD is, you know? But anyway, she basically helped me work through a lot of the anxiety and a lot of like fear of judgment and stuff. But, you know, once you graduate and you're not in, it was really the loss of social systems and social support that I had, because I was very close to all of my friends back in Lafayette before I moved to Chicago. And it took me a long time to make friends again in Chicago because, like, once you're out of high school, it's hard to make friends. That's just the reality of it. And so, you know, it just took me a while to find my group, my people to hang out with. And then you graduate from graduate school, and now you've got to make friends all over again. And they're all, you know, basically twice my age in my congregation. And because you're the pastor, you can't really be friends with them because there has to be this distance that allows them to be able to come to you with their problems. And, you know, I don't know. It just kind of all fell apart for me for a little while there. And so I was just like, well, let's finally get this diagnosis, and then maybe things will start to get better. And they have. They've gotten a lot better.
Mm.
Long story short, they have gotten better because I got the help that I needed.
For a long time, I would have these really vivid nightmares. And they were things like I would wake up, I dreamed that I woke up and I was completely alone, like everybody in the world was missing. And, I would eventually find, some clue to where everybody was at, and then I'd go there and just to find out that, nobody had the heart to actually kill me, but they wanted to keep me separated from everybody. So they all went to where I couldn't. Then this one was actually kind of funny. I had a dream that my really good friend Hawkeye tried to kill me. That he actually put out a contract to have me killed. And two of my other friends accepted the contract. One of them, he and his wife, were going through a hard time financially at the time, and they took the contract for, because they needed the money. The other one, he was engaged to be married, and he took the contract to pay for the wedding.
Sure. As you do.
Yeah.
When you're the friend of an ADHD person living in their imagination.
How much? How much, Clint?
I don't remember the amount, but
enough to feed their kids and have a wedding.
Are you kidding me, man? Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question real quick, Clint. And,
hold on, I think it was. I want to say I think it was like $10K.
Okay. That sounds about right.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what it costs on the dark web.
Yeah. So what's the going rate for a non-political assassination?
Well, before inflation, I think it was $10K.
Let me ask you this, Clint. Because it's weird because one of the things I thought about talking about was a conversation I had with a fellow podcaster, Morgan. She co-hosts Babes of Lore. We talked about it quite a bit on this show over the last couple months about this idea I have of being emotional overthinker, and how I don't really ever want to consider myself like a pessimist. I don't want to think that the worst is fucking out there, that nothing's ever going to get better. I don't. I've been blessed over the last couple months to have my life start going in the right direction, both financially, career-wise, just emotionally better. But I always have these conversations with people like about other people that, new friends, relationships and shit like that. And for some reason, I don't know what it is, but I seem to be able to read people fairly well. And I can kind of tell getting to know somebody if they're, somebody, worth hanging out with, somebody not and shit. Just based on how they act. But we're looking, anyways, me and Morgan were talking about perspectives because her whole podcast is based on Supernatural, the TV show. And, we were talking about the Bloody Mary episode about, somebody saying Bloody Mary and then the Mary girl coming out and killing the people and shit. And from different perspectives, normal people look at it as like, oh, Mary is killing people who have killed people. To where I see it differently. I see it as Mary is killing people who have guilt over the death of people. Because when whoever you talk to, and Clint, I don't know if you've ever seen Supernatural, Joe. I know you haven't.
Right.
But there's one.
I've seen a couple episodes. It wasn't for me.
Gotcha. Well, whatever. Fuck you, dude. It's a great show.
Hey, the episode that I saw had to deal with like clowns and shit, and I don't do that.
Gotcha. Now, clowns a little freaky, but perspectives. What I want to ask you, Clint, because I want to look at your dream in a different perspective. So when you looked at your dream, what did you think of your friends taking out a contract to kill you?
Well,
did you perceive that dream?
Well, in my mind, I was able to be okay with my buddies Remy and Alti who accepted the contract for whatever reason.
Look, I'm sorry, that cracks me up because as you're talking to me about it, I'm like, yeah, man, my self-worth is low enough that like if somebody needs to kill me to feed their kids, by all means, if they're good friends of mine, they should do it.
Dude, that's exactly it. And I've actually helped them like in real life with things before.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I've helped them with money to
They're
be
the
able
people
to
who
have.
don't reject you.
Yeah, and I was like, if I have to die in order for his kids to, be able to eat and continue their education and things like that, I was like, okay. I was like, they're gonna live a lot longer than me anyway.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I was pissed. Really pissed off. I was really pissed off at my buddy Hawkeye. I was so pissed at my buddy Hawkeye for putting out the contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's shitty because like it doesn't help him at all. Like if it helped him in some way, it'd be great. He'd be fine with it. But it's just the rejection on that one.
Yeah, and I remember the next day, like we were in Discord and we just happened to be in the same voice chat, and he was like, "Oh, hey Jedi, how you doing?" I was like, and immediately I just snapped. I'm like, "You know what? Screw you, dude."
Well,
and he's like,
"Wait, he's like, okay, real life."
No, this is real life.
Oh no!
And, yeah, and he's like, "Okay, what the hell did I do to you?" I was like, "You put out a contract to fucking have me killed." And he's like, "Wait," he's like, "You had another nightmare, didn't you?" Yeah. And the whole thing was, well, just from the conversation, at least what we came up with was that I had this like fear that, people don't want me around, that they're, that they feel that, they're happier and better off without me around. They just don't want to actually say anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I go back and forth with that. Not so much now, but that's where my mind would go a lot in the past.
Well, let me throw this by you, Clint. So, you say you don't really know what the amount was for you, but you're thinking it was like $10,000?
About that, yeah.
Okay, cool. To you, is $10,000 a lot of money?
It could do me a lot of good.
Okay, so there's value in that much money. For you, $10,000 has value to you. So could you look at that dream as if it wasn't, somebody playing a hit on you to kind of, get rid of you, but maybe subconsciously you're telling yourself that there is a value to you, and it just happened to come across as a contract for your life.
I mean, I'm no professional dream interpreter, but I guess that's a possibility.
You get what I'm saying, right, Joe? You get what I'm saying here?
Yeah, I'm tracking with
right?
you. I actually, with that, I want to jump off and ask another question.
Let me talk for a second. Let me finish my thing.
Oh yeah, sure. Sorry.
So, if you were to have that same dream, and your Hawkeye bud, said like, I'm putting a contract out on Clint's head of $10 you'd probably subconsciously think like, I'm worth a little more than fucking $10, So $10,000 is a lot of fucking money. So I would think about looking at it that way, Clint. It's like you're trying to tell yourself like there's a value to you. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so you have two friends after you. Was it 10,000 total, or was it 10,000 per friend? Because then you're worth 20,000 in your subconscious.
It was 10,000 to the first person who pulled off the job.
Ah, right. That's still a lot of money.
It's valued at a lot of fucking money, Clint.
It is.
Right? So I would look at it that way from now on. So next time you have that fucking dream, there you go.
Yeah, to any friends of mine who are thinking about killing me for $10,000, team up. Take 5 apiece. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, don't go solo with it. Make it a group thing. Make it an outing.
Yeah, man. Honor me that way by really be my friend by killing me for only 5,000.
Clint, talk about so we mentioned that Geek Dig Pod is no longer around, but you do host a podcast currently off of Twitch. We didn't get that didn't get that recorded, so let's start there here. What is the name of your new show, and what's it about?
Okay, the new show is called Brain Pong, and we broadcast live every other Saturday on Twitch, usually around 6 p.m. Central.
Okay.
Like between 6 and 6:30. It depends on how late I get off of work usually. But really it's about ADHD. Myself and my two co-hosts, Hawkeye and Remy, and there used to be a fourth co-host, our buddy Skippy, but he had to back out because of some personal life situations going on. But it was the four of us and talking about ADHD and how we deal with it from the adult male perspective. Because a lot of the media out there has to do with, like, if you listen to a lot of the podcasts and, read a lot of the blogs and things like that, so much of it is centered around, children, and then some of it, focuses on females, for some of it. But there really wasn't a lot of information or resources, specifically looking at how the adult male looks at everything.
Sure. Well, and I think, and maybe I'm wrong in assuming this or interpreting it this way, but I feel like a lot of ADHD diagnoses happen to kids who are male, and they are the primary hyperactive, right? We during the recording that was lost, we talked about the three different versions of ADHD. There's primary inattentive, primary hyperactive, and combination. And I feel like a lot of young boys get the hyperactive diagnosis, and then they don't really go on beyond high school. They go into a trade or something, and they're doing stuff with their hands that allows them to stay busy the whole time. And so, to a certain extent, there's this idea around ADHD that says that men don't really need help as adults because they're already in the trades. They're already doing things that allow them to have ADHD and be successful. Whereas like those of us who are more inattentive or more combined, there's not a lot of resources for us because they're not looking for that, especially in young men.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I can see where they'll look at like a lot of boys and they'll see, hey, they're just energetic. They just have a lot of energy.
Testosterone is a hell of a drug.
Oh yeah, it is. I think that plays into also of a lot of people not getting diagnosed, that it's just or even screened or tested for it. That hey, they're just they're just full of energy. That's all. But still goes down a lot of the same path and the same end results as like what you were just saying. That they're able to take that energy and they're able to kind of harness it and focus it into a trait of some kind.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not always a trade, but I feel like a lot of the time it is.
Yeah, hyperfocus is a wonderful thing.
Oh, it's the shit, man. I think hyperfocus is why I was an honor student, because like I was super into everything they were teaching me. And a big part of that too, I think, was you bring in the rejection sensitivity dysphoria, and you say, I really wanted my teachers to respect and value me and think highly of me. And so I did what I had to do that.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I also found, I mean, there's not a topic on this planet I don't find interesting. So far. I'm sure there's something, but so far I haven't found it.
Yeah, I remember it was one of my first semesters in college, and I remember being over at my mom's, and I basically like sectioned off and blocked off the dining room.
Oh, all right.
And it was like the week of finals, and you know, obviously I stocked up on caffeine and a whole bunch of stuff. There and just cranked out like this final paper that I had to do for one class, and
Nice.
Man. I just focused, like, and at the end of it, I was like, wait a minute, it's been 2 days?
Right?
I was like, damn. Ended up getting the best grade out of both of the sections of that class that the teacher taught that semester.
Yeah, dope. And expected, frankly. No offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote I decided to do a master's thesis as part of my master's degree, which is not expected or required for an MDiv most places. And I wrote it was a 5-chapter thesis, and I wrote a chapter a night for a week. Like literally the week it was due, because it was like my thesis advisor was like, I can't give you any more extensions. You have to get this done by this date. I was like, okay. And I literally just spent like, okay, it's Monday. I'm going to write this chapter. It's Tuesday. I'm going to write this chapter. It's Wednesday. I'm going to write this chapter, so on and so forth through the end of it. And then like on Friday, I also went ahead and threw on the introduction and the conclusion and turned it in and was like, done. Passed it. It was fine. I think I had to make a couple of revisions that bothered me, but it was fine. Worked out.
Yeah, no, still
there's something. Yeah, the deadline is magic.
That's great
for
though.
ADHD people.
Oh, it is. Like, as much as with, you know, people with ADHD, as much as we're creatures of habit.
Yeah.
Now you give us a deadline. You put us under the time crunch, and we can engage that hyper focus and just we attack it like nothing else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I asked for a lot of like wooden puzzles for Christmas. Like growing up, I really liked those things you could buy at the zoo where it would be like, it's a dragonfly and you pop the little pieces out and you slide them all together and now you have a wooden dragonfly.
Yeah.
I asked for stuff like that for Christmas this year, and I got like a marble machine where you twist a crank and it like moves the marbles through the system. And then I also got one that's a train, and I literally I got home from whatever Christmas I was at. I have, I routinely, because both my parents are divorced and remarried. I have like and my wife's also. So we have between 4 and 6 Christmases a year to go to. And so I came home from one Christmas and spent 3 days building one thing. And then I came home from the next Christmas and spent a whole day just doing the other thing. And it was great. It was awesome. During hyperfocus, you don't really need to eat. You don't need to sleep. You just need to do the thing that you're focused on. And then when you're done, you feel like shit. You feel very accomplished, but you're so hungry and your legs hurt and your back hurts. And it's great.
Yep.
It's really the best thing ever.
Oh, yeah. Well,
one of these days I'll probably have a stroke awesome from a blood clot in my legs.
Yeah, but the thing with hyperfocus is, as great as it can be for I'll say this is kind of on the flip side, for anybody who's neurotypical, who basically non-ADHD,
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Not ADHD, non-autistic.
yeah.
There's some other
Don't try
things,
to
but those are the two big.
don't. Yeah. True. Don't try to break somebody out of their hyperfocus. It can be pretty jarring, and it can throw that person off for at least the rest of the day or for the duration of whatever project they're working on.
Yeah. Oh, I was doing the last one. Yeah, I got like a model train to build or whatever. And my wife, who is wonderful, and she understands that like this is the thing I deal with, and hyperfocus is good for me to some extent because it gives me a lot of dopamine and I enjoy it. But she was like, "Hey, if you don't go eat soon, you're gonna feel like shit in like an hour when you haven't eaten but you finished the train." And I was like, "All right, fine, I'll reach a good stopping point and I'll go eat and then I'll come back and finish." But she was like, she started talking to me and I literally just put a finger up, was like, I am in hyperfocus. Leave me alone. And she was like, I know, but also you're going to feel like crap in 20 minutes. I was like, all right, fine. We'll compromise. But yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm really excited about your podcast. I might give it a listen. No promises because frankly, as you understand, my attention is mercurial. It's going to go where it goes. Yeah. And if I happen to listen to your podcast, great. If I don't, sorry.
Oh, no worries.
But I think it's great. I think it's wonderful you're doing that. I really think that a lot of people are struggling with that. And I think, even people who maybe are not necessarily genetically predisposed to the ADHD or are born with it, I think that social media is such a, it's a dopamine slot machine. And I think that a lot of people, whether or not they have ADHD, develop a lot of the symptoms just from the fact that like there's so much dopamine available on the internet that it's hard to get dopamine from anywhere else in life. And so I think your podcast might be a really great help, a really great resource to a lot of people.
It can be, and that's honestly one of the reasons why we're doing it. There was an episode of Geek Dig that me and Steve did, and we talked specifically about mental health and just kind of where our own personal struggles with it, how it impacted our lives as far as, being geeks and things like that. And I remember it was months later, we got an email from somebody who they, were trying to get caught up on episodes, and they had just heard that one. And the email was talking about how it opened up his eyes to a lot of things, that it also gave him the courage to be able to go out and seek the help and the counseling and things that he needed. He said that, he was, doing better with things, and, he thanked us for helping him. That to me was the greatest thing in the world. And that was one of the things I wanted to do with Brain Pong, because when we stopped doing Geek Dig, I told myself that if I ever did another podcast, I wanted to do something where I'd be able to help people.
Yeah, nice.
Now, we always have the disclaimer that, we're not mental health professionals. We're just 4 grown-ass dudes. Well, 3 now, but yeah. Either way, we're just giving our perspectives and our opinions. Some of us are medicated, some aren't. Some have certain tools, some don't.
Yeah.
And
look, and here's my perspective, if you don't mind me sharing it, is,
go ahead.
Look, you would, as a man, just speaking to men, women too, if this applies to you, but like, especially to men, because I think we are really bad at asking for help when we need it. You would, with no problem, go to a mechanic when your car needs maintenance. You know, every 3,000 to 5,000 miles, you got to get an oil change, right? Every 60,000 miles, you got to replace the belt on your engine or whatever it is for your car. Maybe it's different. For my car, I think it's 60,000 miles. You know, you would go to the gym to maintain your physique, or go for a run, or have a daily walking habit, or you know, try to eat right, whatever. You would maintain the mechanical aspects of your body. Why on earth, especially if you've got insurance to cover it, why on earth would you not do an oil change for your mind and go talk to a therapist or a psychologist or whatever, at least once a year or every 6 months, just to make sure that you're not fucking crazy? You know, and I feel like I can say that as a person who's been in therapy for like 8 years now. I feel okay saying, like, look, I'm a little crazy. I've been in therapy for 8 years. I probably personally will never own a gun because I'm too afraid of using it on myself. That is a reality that I face in my life.
I don't know that I would shoot anybody, but I've been told by others.
I don't think I shoot anybody else, just myself, if I had a gun in the house. Personally. And that's not everybody feels like that. You know,
that's why I won't buy knives or swords.
Yeah.
Is because for me, I wouldn't shoot. I'd stab somebody.
Yeah, I totally get it. Well, because, like, you know, stabbing's like potentially non-lethal. You can work out some aggression without actually killing anybody. Sorry. That's maybe too far of a joke. Too dark. Too dark, Joe. Pull it back. It's 2023. We're trying to be happy this year. We're trying to take down Big Sad like other people are taking down Big Pharma.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I kind of joke about it because it's the way that I cope, but also, like, very seriously, like, this is where I'm at in my life and who I am and who I know I am. And I think other people are maybe in the same spot. And I just want to say, like, first of all, you're not alone. Second of all, there is absolutely no shame in talking to a mental health professional about what's going on. Personally, for me, you know, especially with, like, the rejection sensitivity dysphoria, I'm afraid sometimes to talk to other people in my life because I feel like there's an obligation on their part as friends, as people who are in the same social network, to support each other uncritically. Whereas, like, if I'm paying somebody for a service, I expect them to be objective and neutral. And so personally, that's where therapy has been really good for me, even though I've become friends with my therapist over time. And sometimes I think things are a little complicated by the fact that I'm about the same age as her kids. And so she sees me as one of her kids. And it might be time to move on soon because of that. I don't know. But, generally speaking, I pay this person a certain amount of money and they are supposed to be neutral. They're supposed to be objective. They're supposed to be able to help me just based on the facts that I am presenting to them. And so it helps me a lot. It helps me a lot to be able to be like, look, this is what I've got going on in my life. This is how I feel about it. What do you think? And they say, well, I'm a mental health professional. This is what I think. And that helps me. It makes me feel like I'm not crazy, even though, you know, like, objectively, diagnostically, I am not rational. I don't have rational ideas about the way the world works. Because I'm, you know, especially, like, let's say, for example, when I lived on campus, I was afraid to even walk around the blocks sometime because I might have to run into somebody at Starbucks because there was a Starbucks right there and a lot of people frequented it. And I didn't want to have to talk to people. God forbid I talk to people, you know? And so, you know, that's a totally irrational response to people who are not thinking about me, but I'm thinking about the fact that they're there. You know, go to therapy. It's good for you. You know, don't take my advice because I'm crazy. Take my advice because I'm crazy. You know? Don't let yourself get as broken as I did before you go. Go before you break. If you go before you break, it's going to save you a lot of money, just like maintaining your car. If you go before you break, it's going to help you not break, just like your car. you wouldn't not maintain your car. So please, I am begging you on behalf of yourself and on behalf of society, go before you break. A lot of therapists have a thing called a sliding scale where they won't charge you the full amount that they charge you. I know a lot of therapists, they can charge like $250 an hour. Mine charges $60 because she knows I can't afford $250. And $60 is a lot. She would go all the way down to $30 if things were worse, and you can sometimes find like people who are studying to be psychologists or therapists who will do it for even less because they're going to get paid from their organization for meeting hours.
That's actually how I'm currently doing it because of some other health issues that I had this past year.
Yeah.
My FSA ran out a lot sooner than expected.
For sure.
And I couldn't afford to keep going to where I was going. And so now my buddy Josh is studying and in school to be a therapist. And, he and I get together once a week and talk about stuff,
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. And I'll throw this out here too, because I'm clergy, I feel like I'm comfortable doing this. A lot of people, maybe they don't feel like going to a therapist because they don't want to admit to themselves yet that they have a mental block of some kind. Maybe they're saying, I'm not really anxious. I'm afraid of this other thing. Or, I don't want to interact with people, or I'm afraid of this or that, but like, I'm not crazy, so I'm not going to go to a therapist. That's fine. I would recommend to you, a process called spiritual direction, which, if there's a pastor you trust or, a person in your community who goes to a church that can connect you, maybe, I don't know, or maybe just Google spiritual direction. There are things called spiritual directors. They tend to charge a lot less than therapists. And their whole goal is the same as therapy, to some extent. It's to listen to you and to help you figure out like where in your life you can find the good things that you need. And maybe it's a good way to start. Maybe you can start with that and say, okay, I feel like I need to find the good in this situation I've got going on. And they're going to say, fantastic. Let's help you find that. And if they can't help you, they'll refer you to a therapist that they know. And it'll be somebody that, because you trust the spiritual director, it'll help you trust the therapist. And I think that trust is such an important part of this whole process, because if you can't trust the person, it's not worth it. So I don't know. Soapbox, off my soapbox. That's all I had to say about it, I think. So also, you know what? Actually, I have one more thing. If you need medication, take it. When you have a headache, you have no problem taking Advil or Tylenol or whatever else. Why on earth? Why in God's good name, if you have a hormonal deficiency, would you not take something that corrects it? We have invented so many incredible medical techniques and medicines for fixing problems. Not all of them work for everybody. Not every medicine works for every person. But if you have a doctor you trust and a therapist you trust, you will typically find the treatment you need, and it will help you.
Yep.
And I think that's all I have to say about it right now. In short.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can definitely back up on the medication aspect of it, because for me, right now, personally, I'm on 25 milligrams daily of Adderall.
Oh,
and
nice.
If I'm not on it, it's a night and day difference.
I wholeheartedly believe it. Yeah, I'm on because I'm on an anti-anxiety that I should probably get off of in the future. Which it's been great for me. Don't get me wrong, but because I've realized that the root of my anxiety is probably my ADHD, I should probably get off of the anti-anxiety, because right now the anti-anxiety prevents me from getting on a stimulant. And so I'm on a non-stimulant for ADHD called atomoxetine, which, don't get me wrong, has been fantastic, because it's a neuroepinephrine reuptake inhibitor. And I wouldn't recommend it to everybody. If your doctor or your therapist or your psychologist or whatever else recommends it to you, by all means take it. But I'm on it because I can't have a stimulant because I'm also on, I think it's called sertraline for my anxiety. And like both of them together could cause a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so like just atomoxetine is fine because it doesn't interact with the sertraline the same way that like Adderall would, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been great. I've really enjoyed the atomoxetine because what it does is it blocks your hormonal receptors from basically picking up too much of the norepinephrine, and norepinephrine is like one of the key ingredients for dopamine. And so what I have personally found is that when I take my atomoxetine, if I'm good about it, like for example, right now, I think I took my last dose today. So the next couple of days are going to be rough until I can get it refilled. But when I take it, about 2 hours later, everything feels awesome. Like literally, like my head starts to tingle and like caffeine feels fantastic. Another thing about ADHD is that caffeine is not normally effective on us. I used to in high school be able to drink a Red Bull and go to sleep and I would wake up super refreshed. But dopamine is just fucking weird like that. And so like with the atomoxetine, coffee is more effective. I feel more awake and more happy and more vibrant because of the atomoxetine. And I'm sure the Adderall would be even better in some extent, to some extent, if I could take it without the anxiety potentially fucking me up. But yeah, so how have you dealt with the shortage of Adderall? Has that been okay for you so far?
When I've been short on it, well, I'll start to get very, very quiet.
Yeah.
Mostly because I start withdrawing from people because I know what's happening and I know what I'm capable of. Sure. And I don't want to lash out or
overwhelm people with what you're excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't want to be the person to go into like a group chat or something and start trying to interject and take control of the conversation. Or, I mean, I see a large, like, well, I say large, but it could be 5, 6 people. If I see a group of people like in a voice chat, like in Discord or something, I'm pretty much inclined to not go into that conversation no matter what. Now that's mainly because of the RSD, and I might feel like I'm out of place there, or I don't belong there, or if I do join, I might not get a chance to, to say what I actually want to try to say, and then my mind starts doing its thing. But I tend to not go very long without it. Honestly, I think the thing that helps is the fact that I'm also on bupropion, which is an antidepressant.
Oh, all right. Yeah, dope.
And granted, they had to cut it in half when they put me on the Adderall, which was interesting.
Yeah, I bet. Well, because like antidepressants take like 6 weeks to come off of or go on to.
Oh yeah, and yeah, going on to it I knew was hell.
Yeah.
And I was not looking forward to the switch.
Yep.
But no, so I think the antidepressant helped take the edge off. But
yeah,
even when I feel like I don't want to be around a lot of people or anything, there are still a select couple people that I'm, willing to talk to you about whatever is going on. And I'll be straight up with them. Like one of them, I know I keep bringing up my buddy Hawkeye, which he loves the TV show MASH. And that's kind of his whole branding.
That's why he's Hawkeye.
Channel and everything. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So
I thought I was a big fan of Jeremy Renner.
Nah, that would be Remy.
Yeah.
But
fair.
No, but actually either of them, Hawkeye or Remy, I can go to either one of them and I can just say, hey, right now I'm without an Adderall, or hey, I'm feeling this and I've got this going on. And they'll help me deal with something, like, yeah. So like if they see that I'm starting to go down a certain brain path, they'll interject and say something to try to bring me back, or they'll try to get me out of a potentially stressful situation.
For sure.
Like, I found that if I'm not on my Adderall, don't let me play Call of Duty.
They won't let you play Call of Duty?
No, I won't let me play Call of Duty, but
gotcha.
them especially won't either. Because I have a very negative and self-defeating view of my abilities in that game.
Sure.
And yeah, when I'm in a proper headspace and everything, it's like, okay, well, I know I don't play the game a lot. I know I can, practice and I can do this, that, whatever. No, if I'm in, my different frame of mind, then it's just like, oh, I suck, and I should just uninstall this thing. I should just, I should quit streaming because apparently I'm horrible at games, and I'll start going down that.
That could be really impactful for a Twitch streamer.
Oh yeah,
damn, yeah.
That's why I don't. That's why I don't stream that.
Yeah,
but I start to generalize and I catastrophize a lot.
Sure.
And I'm not always able to reframe right away.
Right.
Sometimes it takes a bit to kind of snap me back to the point that I can do that. But yeah, I try to avoid certain situations that get me in, that'll get me in trouble when I'm when I'm not on it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Around Thanksgiving, I forgot to get my atomoxetine renewed, and just like every day that I wasn't on it was a little bit worse. And it got to the point where I actually showed up for church on Sunday. It was, I had been, I think, 9 days off of it at that point because my provider wasn't available. That's just as a sidebar. One of the downsides to one of these online ones is that because your provider is very busy, it might not be easy to get in. It's going to be easier, at least, compared to my hospital system to get the help, but, cause it's not a 2-year wait list. It's like a week, but she couldn't see me for another week or something. And, I ended up not even being able to write a sermon that week. And so I literally, when it came time to preach, I stood up and I said, hey, look, here's the deal. I have been off of an important medication. It has been incredibly difficult for me to focus. I have not been able to motivate myself to do the things that I need to do. And the fact of the matter is that we're just going to attack this text together as best we can. So, if there's something I say that resonates with you, by all means, speak up. And, if there's something I say that doesn't resonate, by all means speak up and we're going to get through this together. But yeah, it just, for me especially, motivation is one of my biggest problems with ADHD, is that I just cannot get myself to do basic shit. And I think, a lot of people are just like, oh, what do you mean motivation? All you need is discipline. You just got to do the thing. And I'm just like, okay, look, I can understand that I need to do the thing. I can want to do the thing. I can need to do the thing. The thing might be getting up to use the fucking bathroom. But if I don't have the executive function to do that, I'm going to stay on the couch until it becomes urgent enough that I can get up off the fucking couch. Unless I have something that allows me to fucking do it, which is what the medication does.
Dude, that was my fucking day today.
Yeah.
Because I was, like I said, I was in the hospital on and off, this past month.
Yeah.
There was stuff long story short, I had a blockage that was preventing me from free flow pissing, basically.
Oh, I got you. You got like a kidney stone or something?
Scar tissue from passing a kidney stone, actually.
Ah, classic.
Yep. So, they had to put in some stents and, clear the blockages and things like that. But then I ended up getting out of the hospital, and then I ended up going back in because I ended up with a bladder infection. And
sorry, that sucks.
Thanks. But anyway, right now I'm going through a lot of follow-ups with like the urologist, the nephrologist, my general doctor.
Sure.
And they wanted a home health nurse to come a couple of times just for updates to check things out. So I woke up this morning in just enough time for her to come over.
Nice.
Well, in enough time for me to listen to my voicemail before she came, because I woke up to the voicemail that I missed a urology appointment yesterday. I had it written down that it was tomorrow.
Yep.
And I also have my general doctor an appointment later that afternoon tomorrow. So I thought I had 2 appointments tomorrow. Turned out
why wouldn't you schedule them for the same day? That sounds perfectly logical to me.
Yeah, and apparently I didn't. But, then I'm trying to deal with the nurse, and then I'm trying to deal with rescheduling that appointment. And I'm, my mom was trying to help out, but being a little bit more of a hindrance at the time.
Yep.
And it just...
well, I mean, if she's anything like my mom, it's an ABCDEFG disorder and not like an actual fucking disorder. Like, clearly the thing that would fix it is just getting your ass beat more.
Yeah. But I just didn't have the executive function to sit there and start writing everything down, going through
100%.
XYZ paperwork, and I needed to shut down for a bit, so I started watching videos about the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's.
There's lore in that? We don't have time for this, but I'm so intrigued.
Because between all the games and books and things like that, yeah.
There's Five Nights at Freddy's books?
There are novels and books.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's mostly
I've
the whole
to like an outside media source for that is Willy's Wonderland, the fantastic Nick Cage movie.
Okay. I haven't seen that one yet.
It's okay. It's not good, but it's great. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
The challenge he gave himself in that film was to not speak a single line of dialogue.
How could you not?
He managed it. I think he maybe speaks like 2 or 3, but he, for the most part, completely manages it. It's really, really impressive. And because Nick Cage is the kind of actor he is so fantastic with all of the physical comedy of the thing, and also the physical horror, because it is a horror movie. It's very much, it's a haunted Chuck E. Cheese, that kills all the people that go into it kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fun. It's a fun movie. I think it's on Amazon Prime for free. That's where I watched it. It's great.
Okay.
So
I'm going to have to check that out. Cause the last movie of his that I saw, it was, I have to look it up because it's like some long weird name.
Yeah. So I love when he does random indie movies. So like Mandy was a really good one that he did.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here it is. That's the one. Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Yeah, I need to see that still.
That one was good.
Nice. I love the concept of it. I think Nick Cage is one of the greatest actors of our time, but he just, for a while there, just did whatever movie was available because he was spending all his extra money on dinosaur bones and a pyramid to be buried in.
Yeah.
So he had to eat, so he did The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Yep. But no, dude, I had to see that movie when I found out that it was him and Pedro Pascal who was the Mandalorian.
Right?
I mean, there was no way I was going to miss that.
That's why I need to see it. I just haven't done it yet. So,
Yeah,
Travis, you've been quiet for a really long time. Is there?
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about, or are you ready to move on to the things that need to get their shit together?
Do we still got time to do that?
I don't know. Yeah, probably.
No. See, here's the thing, Joe. And again, this is one of my new season resolution is for you to be more involved. And I was okay taking a backseat while you guys discussed ADHD. It helped me learn more. And it gave you guys time to catch up as well.
Yeah, for sure.
There is a couple things. Obviously, I do want to, we got a new segment of Get Your Shit Together, which the best description of it is we just pick anything that's going on in the world or anything that we feel just needs to really get their shit together, and, we talk about it for a little bit. Before we do that, I should probably plug our sponsor since we didn't do that yet.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
That's very important. So, Clint, I don't know if you still listen to our show or not, but
when I get a chance to.
Oh, that's amazing. So you haven't, in the last 5 years, nothing?
I've had the upper. I have listened to some. Granted, I don't listen as frequently to any podcast as much as I used to. But you guys are one of the few ones that I still pull up.
You come in with something like, Travis, I would listen to your show more often, but to hear your voice but not actually speak with you hurts too much.
Speaking of rejection sensitivity.
I would have said that, but I wouldn't have been able to say that without tears.
So CarterComics.com is a proud sponsor of Freaknet Studios and, of course, a sponsor of this freaking show. It's your one-stop shop for all your comic books, whether it be raw or graded. Carter Comics has so many titles to choose from and selections, not just on their website, CarterComics.com, where you can buy their comics, but also you can buy them on eBay, whether it be bidding or negotiating or buying them outright. There is a discount code FREAKNET, FREAKNET, which will save you 10% on your order, not just from their website of CarterComics.com, but also through the eBay account. I actually talked with Joe about it. I think I threw this idea to you, Joe. If not, you're going to find out now anyways, but I spoke with Dougie while we're on our break. And we might actually put together a comic book auction, for Facebook Live.
Oh, yeah.
So, we're going to work out the logistics of it. It's probably going to be sometime in spring at the earliest if we do get it done, because, we want to make sure we get everything done right. I had a chance to go over to Doug's. I saw his inventory, and there are so many comics there. They're not all listed online as of yet. So if you are looking for that certain comic to fill out a collection or even start a collection, if you reach out to them through the website at cartercomics.com, they may have a comic that you've been looking for because they just have thousands of comics right there in their inventory. But yeah, we'll be doing a live auction on Facebook on their Carter Comics Facebook page, where me and Cartoon Joe are going to host an auction to sell their comics through there. So I'm excited to do it. Like I said, we got to figure out the logistics of this, but it's going to happen because it's one of our ways we give back to an amazing sponsor of not only Freakin Studios, not only just Freakin Wrestling, but of this freaking show, and that is CarterComics.com, your one-stop shop for all your comic needs. Discount code FREAKNET, FREAKNET, will save you 10% on your entire order.
Outstanding. Is I feel weird asking about this. Maybe we should have talked about it beforehand. But is Audible still a sponsor?
Yeah, I haven't got rid of that yet.
Fantastic. Since Audible is still a sponsor, you should head over to audibletrial.com/freaknet and sign up for a free 30-day trial and a credit towards your first audiobook purchase. There are a lot of fantastic books on audible.com. I believe that they're up to like 6 million titles that you can choose from, which means that there are like hundreds of thousands of authors. There are great professional readers. There are also probably some crappy ones out there because I'm sure that they just allow anybody to upload whatever. But, go to audibletrial.com/freaknet and you can listen to basically whatever you want for free. At least once. For 30 days. It's fantastic. So head to audibletrial.com/freaknet and get this year started right. With your free trial.
Good job, Joe.
Thank you.
All right, Clint, I guess I'm going to ask you real quick. We're going to finish up our segment and close out the show. Did you want to hang around while we did that? Do you need to go or?
No, I can hang while we do that.
Perfect. Excellent. So, we do a new segment every single season. This season we're doing the, get your shit together. Again, news articles, anything going on in your life, whatever it is. If we find something that we're not agreeing with, we're going to bring it onto the show. We're going to talk about it for a little bit. And then we're, of course, going to tell them at the end to get their shit together. Joe, I'm going to let you go first. And tell me what you believe needs to get their shit together.
Like I said before, I had previously planned on doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever it was that I had planned is completely driven from my mind by the fact that Skype did not record our first opening conversation of about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Skype, I am begging you, after 3 Follow Your Star awards, where you basically got a wag of my finger, get your shit together. Get it to fucking together. You are the oldest popular mass vocal and video conferencing app. You're the one that I used the very first time I needed to do a long distance call over the internet. What the fuck happened to you? What happened? Who hurt you? Get your shit together. That's all I have to say. Travis, who have you got tonight? Who needs to get their shit together?
Here's the thing, Joe. The first thing that came to mind actually happened while I was in a McDonald's drive-thru, and I know you're thinking ice cream machine, right? But this isn't it.
Typically, yes. So,
I love holidays. I love the Christmas time, mostly because fast food places have some Christmas themed fucking foods.
Oh yeah.
And one thing,
cream pie at McDonald's.
So here's the thing. I wanted the eggnog shake. And they don't have an eggnog shake anymore.
What?
It's gone. They got holiday pies.
McDonald's. Get your shit together.
Right. Which, don't get me wrong, the holiday pies are phenomenal. Now, there are times where I would go through drive-thru and get a holiday pie, and I'd ask for 2 because they do sell them by the pair. And they didn't even have 2. It was upsetting. But the thing that upset me the most was knowing, for my love of eggnog, and knowing that the eggnog shake at McDonald's is fan-fucking-tastic, and it's not an option. It's upsetting to me. I don't think it's right. I know that McDonald's has gone through a lot of issues, whether it be their ice cream machine never working in fucking Sunday evening, or the fact that they're officially saying the McRib is gone forever.
Forever?
That one hurt.
Yeah, this was the last year for the McRib.
Why?
Because they need people to want it to come back like Taco Bell did with the fucking pizza.
Oh, just McDonald's, do your own thing. Why you gotta be like Taco Bell?
Right? Right. Now, I will say,
Taco Bell, make your own McRib taco. I'll order it.
Taco Bell's apple empanadas are 10 times better than McDonald's apple pies. I will say it. I will fight for that very cause. But at the end of the day, what McDonald's needs to do is get their shit together and give me an eggnog shake.
Yep, straight. Clint, who needs to get their shit together?
Yeah, Clint, we got. I know I didn't tell you ahead of time we were doing this, but I'm sure you got one on the tip of your tongue.
Yeah. For me, honestly, it's a lot within the medical field, like doctor's offices. It's like, seriously, get off your ass and fill out the paperwork that you're requested to.
Mm-hmm. Man.
Like I'm in the process of trying to go for, short-term disability because I need to be paid for when I was in the hospital and stuff.
Yeah.
And, doctor's offices dragging their feet. I'm going to make some noise tomorrow when I'm there.
Sure.
And it's like, seriously, get your shit together because I shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah. Look, another thing on doctor's offices, if I'm 5 minutes late, you motherfuckers cancel my appointment. If you're half an hour late, you expect me to still be there.
How insane is that?
Get your shit together.
Yeah.
How insane is it? Like, if I show up on time for a fucking doctor's appointment and I'm sitting in that room for 25 fucking minutes before you call me back, it's like, I'm sorry, make my appointment for 30 minutes later then.
Yeah.
You guys sit there and think, it's like the reverse of a fucking cable guy coming to your fucking house.
Yeah.
It's like he's gonna be there between 3 and 5. Cool. Then he shows up at like 4:45. Just barely makes it in. But then you go to a doctor, you want to set your appointment for fucking noon, and they'll get you in there till 1:45.
Yep.
It's like, are you like how madness? It's like, I'm sorry, fucking make your fucking plans. Have more than one fucking doctor. So dumb. And I get it. Maybe sometimes people take longer than expected. But you know what? Take that person, find out what's wrong with them, move them to another fucking room because those back rooms are just secondary fucking waiting rooms anyways, and get the next express assessment. When I worked at Trans Chicago, when I worked for Freightliner, we had an express lane where we got shit in, figured out what the code was, said this is what we need to do, let's move on to the next fucking one. And that's what you need to do for fucking people.
Yeah.
Bring them to the back.
When I worked in the GI lab at Evanston Hospital as staff support, they would literally have you got to call this person 2 or 3 times, and if they don't answer by the 3rd time, we're going to cancel their appointment. And it's like, okay, that sucks. They're going to be mad about it, and they're going to yell at me when they show up. But also there was this one doctor who was always at least 15 minutes late to show up for the day. Yep. She would show up and she wouldn't even be dressed yet in her work scrubs and her what do you call it? Lab coat and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it would be like, what is wrong with you? Because do you just not understand that we cancel appointments that are 15 minutes late, but you feel okay doing that? And then there was one day where I will forgive her for it personally. She was 45 minutes late, but it was because of traffic. And that's a legitimate reason, but then you need to also extend that same courtesy to your customers.
Yeah.
As long as we're stuck with basically for-profit healthcare, even though hospitals are technically nonprofits, then the customer should come first. And, you know, I'm a customer, so treat me because I'm here.
Yeah.
Fucking assholes. Or make it free and nationalize it. Shit. Then I'll come whenever. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
My taxes are paying for it. I'm not charged when I show up for $400. Anyway, I digress.
That's fine. Well, we mentioned Hawkeyes, we mentioned Jeremy Renner, we mentioned hospitals. So before we say our goodbyes, I just want to let Jeremy Renner know that you are in our thoughts and prayers here on this freaking show for a speedy recovery from the accident that you were in on Sunday. I believe he's still in the ICU. Had several surgeries. Hopefully recovering soon. Unfortunate accident.
For sure. Helping a friend out snow plowing.
Yeah.
Also, DeMar Hamlin.
Yeah.
The Bills player who collapsed last night. We're thinking of you and your family.
There has been a lot of weird celebrity incidents that have happened, not even like in the last couple of days, but like in nearly like the last month.
Yeah. 2 drummers have died in the last few days already. Modest Mouse and somebody else.
Yeah, I think there was a brief period where Kanye West and Britney Spears were missing. There was an influencer that got arrested. Who's the female news anchor who passed away?
Oh, Barbara Walters?
Yeah. Yeah. The ending of 2022 was not that fucking good. And I don't
Pope Benedict the 16th?
Yes. Again, yeah.
Child molesting supporting guy?
Right? I don't want to blame the fact that we took 2 weeks off, but none of this shit happened when we were recording shows.
That's true. That is true.
I'm not saying that's wanted to fucking say, but, you know. But, yeah, no, it's been a fucked up last couple weeks and everything. But, yeah, thoughts and prayers to Jeremy Renner and Joe, you just said the football player's name.
DeMar Hamlin.
DeMar Hamlin, yeah. So, it's been fucking crazy. But we are into a new year, which means we got new shit coming out. We got a new cemetery vlog that's going to be happening during this freaky show in October. We didn't get a chance to do our board meeting like we planned, so we definitely got a schedule for that because we do got to figure some things out.
True. We're probably gonna have another show this year on the network. I'm excited about it. At least one. Yeah, that's a big one. And here's the thing, Joe. And I know we talked about it a little bit yesterday. I think again, I can't remember if it was yesterday or Sunday. Here's my thing. I want to tell you what my freaking thinking is, and then I want to kind of continue this real quick. So here's my freaking thinking. I officially started my better life of 2023. The dieting, figuring out the workout plan. I haven't started the workout plan yet, but I'm figuring it out so I can hopefully start next week. But I already started the dieting, which part of that is the 8/16 fasting. So I am hangry as fuck. Oh shit.
Because I'm so fucking hungry. But the problem is, and this is how I know I'm fat, not besides the fact that I don't see my penis when I take a leak, but the fact that the last time I ate was only 6 hours ago, and I am fucking starving. And knowing that I can't eat again until 8 a.m. But the thing is, I'm committing to it because I know it fucking works. So I'm hangry, but I'm also kind of like scatterbrained, and I think that has to do with the fact that I feel like I don't have enough nutrients in my body, but I do know I do because I'm following my macros and I'm putting everything into my fitness pal. So I'm committing to it. I'm on keto again. I'm fucking loving it. It's only been 3 days, but just those 3 days alone, I have a better feeling of myself in just 3 days of fasting. 2 days of keto. I didn't start keto on January 1st because I know who I am. But I just feel great. And one of those feelings I had is the idea of going to church more.
Oh, yeah.
There's a church in my town that I fell in love with. I hated the fact that I wasn't going to it. But I'm making it a point to go to it in 2023. I want to find, I have a relationship with God, but I want to have a stronger connection with him. And I want to do that through my community, and the church that I want to go to is a great community. It's a contemporary church style. It's not traditional.
Yep.
Which is more me. I like more of the, I don't want to say casual, more of like, I guess, laid back way of what church could be. As well as the Christian rock songs I fucking love. Nothing against hymns and traditional churches. I think they're amazing as well. Especially Christmas.
Oh, yeah. You don't got to defend it to me. I totally get it.
Yeah. Christmas services at traditional churches fucking are amazing. Fun fact, side note, I've been talking to this girl on online dating who's also a big believer in God and faith and everything. She goes to a traditional church. So there's a balance there. She's pretty fucking cool. We'll see what happens with it. She's still talking to me, so that's a positive. So we'll see. Nice. But for the first 3 days of this year, I have been in the best mood I have been in, and I want to say 6 months.
Nice.
And I will allot that to, first off, my own belief in what I know I could do. So I'm building myself back up. A strong faith in God that I know He appreciates. I think He's kind of returning that. Hey, good job. Like we get like a little fist, like a lovable punch to the cheek by like a ghost slugger kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
I feel like Jesus is doing that to like, hey, way to go, kid. Nice. But this right here, I was so excited knowing that this week I was back on JFW on this freaking show. Got more excited when Clint was available to come on. But knowing that we have ideas for 2023 that's going to go above and beyond, I believe, anything we've done before. We're taking the classics. We're taking this freaky show and the cemetery vlogs, and we're adding more to what we already do. Part of that is, again, bringing guests back, getting more guests on, talking more real shit. Like, again, we spent, well, you guys did, a majority of the show talking about ADHD.
Yeah.
And it's phenomenal. It's awesome we could do stuff like that because I want to do stuff like that. Things like that need to be common conversation with people.
Yeah, especially men, I think.
Yeah, it's not the 80s and 90s anymore where people look at it like it's a fucking disease because it's not. So I guess I really don't have to continue on from that. But the thing is, like, I'm really happy with where I'm at just within the 3 days, and I pray to God and I believe in myself just enough to where I feel we could keep riding this feeling.
Nice.
So, but Joe, what are you freaking thinking about?
Am I freaking thinking about? It's not like I've had plenty of time to think about it. No, I've been reading again, which is, it doesn't sound like it should be a big deal, but, throughout the pandemic, I've struggled to read. And, in 2020, I had, there were a couple of months where I had no problem reading like some of the Percy Jackson books, which have been fantastic. Mm-hmm. And then, late last year, I read a bunch of the Dresden Files books. But like, I keep going these long stretches without reading enough. And I started this book called the Ministry for the Future, which, mm-hmm. If you're looking for a happy read, skip it. Find something else to read. But, it starts off with like one of the most miserable chapters of a book I've ever read in my entire life. And, but I'm about halfway through it. It's been fantastic. So, if you're looking for a book, if you're one of the people who's worried about climate change, like I am, and not everybody is, and I recognize that, but if it's something you're worried about, I have found it to be a tremendously hopeful book, despite the very first chapter, which is maybe the most depressing thing I've ever read in my life. But you get past that first chapter. It's fantastic. I really enjoy it. The Ministry for the Future by, I believe it's Kim something. Mm-hmm. Ministry for the Future.
Kim
Stanley Robinson.
If you find a link to where they can pick it up, share it on our Facebook page.
Oh, that's a great idea. But it's great. I found it at my local library. That's where I'm reading it, is on the Libby app. But it's good. It's a good book. And then I got a book for Christmas called The Dog Who Was There, which is It's a book about a dog that was there when Jesus was crucified. And as far as books go, it is the most Hallmark movie book I've ever read. But it was a really overall comforting way to start the new year. I finished it a couple days ago, and or maybe yesterday actually. It was around midnight Monday morning. I finished it, and I enjoyed it. It was fine. It is not a book that I would necessarily recommend to people, but it's not a book that I would tell you not to read. It's fine. I enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars on my Goodreads. If you really like dogs, if you think that the behavior of dogs is adorable, it's a good book. I really liked that part. If you're into Jesus, it's a good book. There's some Jesus stuff. If you're not into either of those things, fucking read something else. I don't give a shit. I'm not your dad. Read what you like. But I enjoyed it. It was a nice kind of fluffy way to start the new year, and having it's nice to start the new year and have a book under my belt already. So I'm feeling good about that. I feel like I'm gonna my goal for this year is to read 50 books. So I'm feeling good about the direction the year is taking so far in terms of the number of books I'm going to read. So it would be a huge step forward for me. I haven't read that many books probably since I was in seminary. So yeah, Clint, what are you freaking thinking about this week? Bring it home.
Okay, well, I've been thinking a lot about games that that I want to try to stream, just because I'm trying to sort of re-energize and revitalize things with my stream. So there's a lot of games that I've been kind of putting together and things that I'm like really excited to start streaming and start playing.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is stuff that I've wanted to stream. Well, but the funniest one, though, you guys remember earlier when I said that I got a thing with clowns and I don't do clowns and I hate clowns?
Yes.
Well, there's one movie that I'm able to watch that has clowns in it, and that's Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Nice.
They're making a video game on it, which is supposed to release this spring.
Nice. So
I've been following a lot of development for that. Like there was some like music from the game that they just recently put out. Like they reworked like the title theme from the movie. Like a couple days ago, they just released like a trailer for the upcoming Scream 6 movie. I'm starting to get excited about some of the games and stuff that I'm going to be doing.
Yeah, nice.
So, especially because this past year, I took a hit, and the whole reasoning is that I took a hit this past year, as far as content creation.
Sure. Last year was a weird year on that front. I'm with you.
There was a lot of health stuff. I just moved in November. My previous roommate was a very unpredictable and loud alcoholic.
Just what you need in your life, generally. Broadly.
Yeah. So I was able to move out of there in mid-November into where I'm at now, which is a much better situation. But like there were streams that I had missed, and I couldn't decide on like things that I wanted to try to do and stuff. But just seeing what's out there and getting sort of that sense of direction back has just been exciting for me.
Nice. Good for you. Congratulations. I have a very sarcastic tone of voice. I mean this sincerely.
I know you do.
Clear. So, yeah, well, thanks for joining us. Enjoyable first show of the year. Travis, is there anything else?
To wrap us up? like I said, I enjoyed hearing you guys kind of talk about ADHD. Like I said, and I think it's phenomenal that we're in a world where we could do stuff like that. You know, it sucked that, you know, you look at it, what, 10, 12, 15, fuck, even maybe even 5 years ago, Leo, like, things like that could be looked at as weakness, and I think it's bullshit that was ever a thing.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me, I was going to mention this earlier, but like, Michael Phelps, the most gold medal winningest swimmer of all time, probably has ADHD. I believe he actually was diagnosed with ADHD, and his parents, instead of getting him medicine, had him start swimming. And that's where he burned off a lot of his extra energy, got a lot of his dopamine to like function throughout the day. And I can remember when he was in the like just after those Olympics had ended, I was at somebody's house for Christmas, and one of our uncles came up and was like listening to us talk about it. And we were just sort of nonchalant. I don't think it was you and I. It might have been me and our cousin Josh. We were just nonchalantly talking about how he had treated his ADHD by becoming basically the world's greatest swimmer of all time. Yeah. And he was just like, I don't understand. He's a national hero. I don't understand why you have to talk about him like he's got this disorder. And I was like, it's not that he has the disorder. It's this disorder is why he's the greatest swimmer of all time. Yeah. Like, it's actually a superpower in his case. Yeah. So I'm with you. I totally agree.
Yeah. Clint, we mentioned that you do have a show that you put on through Twitch. Tell people how they could find you on Twitch, when they could watch the show and all that.
Okay. We are Brain Pong Podcast. We go every other Saturday around 6 p.m. Central. I'd usually say more 6:15, but
it is all video, right? It's not just still shots of you guys. Yeah.
It's full video. Our next episode is next Saturday, the 14th. Because our last recorded episode was New Year's Eve.
Now, is Brain Pong Podcast, is it a brain with different arrows pointing different directions?
Yes.
Cool, you just got a new follower, bud.
Oh,
I did. So whatever happened to the Vengeful Jedi Twitch? Is this revamped? Because I know I used to follow you on Twitch, and I don't have it anymore.
And I was say I'm still on there.
I don't know why. Did you ban me or some shit? Is that what you did? Did you kick me off of your page?
Dude, I would not have done that. Motherfucker, you know I wouldn't have done that.
I know. I'd hate to have to fucking reject you.
No,
I'm just kidding, bud. You know I love you.
There have been... I know, I love you too. But no, Twitch does have this thing weird random glitch where sometimes it will unfollow people from each other.
Mm-hmm.
It was doing some really weird shit earlier today too. Like, there was somebody that was on my following list, and I clicked it, but when I went into their stream, it said I wasn't following them. There were servers and stuff that went down, it turned out. They were able to fix it, but no, I do my game streaming at twitch.tv/Vengeful Jedi. The podcast is at twitch.tv/Brainpong Podcast. Yeah. We're just starting to release audio only episodes, and I know we're on Apple, I think Google, and Spotify.
Nice. Perfect. Those are the big ones. Spotify's coming huge for podcasts. Fucking huge.
Dude, it's easier now to get a podcast or something onto Spotify than it was previously.
When I started Podbean, I had to fucking do all these forms and RSS feeds and all this bullshit to get onto iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Now Podbean is set up to all you gotta do is just go to, is basically just clicking two different fucking buttons on Podbean alone, and they automatically send that shit over to iTunes and Google Podcasts and pretty much do it for you. blows my fucking mind. I was like, really? I had to go through all this bullshit just to make something work, and now you get 2 clicks of a fucking button? Assholes. But Clint, I do appreciate you coming on the show, spending time with us. I would love it that it's the season premiere episode. I'm really excited for 2023, like I mentioned again. Like I said, me and Joe got some more talking to do. Possibly, releasing a new podcast coming here on Freakin Studios. Clint, I mentioned it to you. I extend the invitation to you as well as I did to the Babes of Lore. If you guys ever look for a network you want to be a part of, Freakin Studios would love to have you. Like I said, you've been a friend with me. You've been a friend to me since the beginning of this. 2015. We're looking at 7 years we've known each other.
Wow.
So, obviously anything I could do to help you out, I want to do that. I'm going to encourage you guys to make sure you check out his show over on Twitch and also check it out on audio, wherever you can find your podcast. So I do appreciate it. Make sure you guys follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, just by searching This Freakin Show. And you can find our shows when they are released on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, just by searching This Freakin Show. Guys, that's all I got. So, as always, I am Travesty.
I'm Cartoon Joe.
I'm Vengeful Jedi.
And thank you for listening to another episode of This Freakin Show. I'm out.